Hello and welcome back. As always, thank you very much for tuning in here today. We frequently, and sometimes it feels like constantly, find this course to be hard here in the world. So let's talk about this today and address it. There's no way we can have this conversation without addressing our fear head on, exposing it for what it is, i.e., nothing, but it seems very pronounced. What we're actually afraid of is awakening itself. In other words, we're mortally afraid of letting go of our precious individual ego identity. Just that. So, wherever you find yourself on what we call a spiritual journey, and whatever role A Course in Miracles has played in that journey to date, which may be a major part or none at all, you're here, so what you're going to get is what the Course says and means, and it can save you lots and lots of time, if that indeed is what you really want. We say that we want awakening, but as with all other aspects of life, we're not willing to do what is required of us in order to experience this. In other words, we're not willing to let our own little judgments of ourselves and of our brother go. We want to keep these little hatreds to ourselves. We do. We're quite comfortable forgiving many people and situations, circumstances, and events here in the world, but we reserve our particular disdain and hatred for someone else. It could be someone that has done us harm here. That's entirely possible. It could be someone with whom we disagree, or, as the case may be, an entire group of people with whom we disagree. That's very common at all times. So we're perfectly comfortable loving on just about everybody and hating the rest. Is that love? Well, it's not. Love is complete, total, and it is completely impartial. It is abstract, it's all-encompassing, it applies to all, including those whom we wish to disdain, and you know it. This is where a lot of people hang up the broadcast and navigate away to some other type of content. There's a lot of other content out there. So consider that you're here for a reason. You might be asking yourself, why am I here? Who's this guy? Well, this is nobody. This is a pixelated image on your screen. It's assembled in the shape of a middle-aged dude from Arizona. And as you may be perfectly aware, there are a lot of those. So there is absolutely nothing special at all about the deliverer of the message, this form, this assemblage of dots. That's the deliverer of the message. When something connects for you, when it lands, it's the Holy Spirit that you may count on, always. It's why you're watching in the first place. In fact, it's why you're even interested in spirituality. So if you're doubting that, doubt it no longer. You're here for a reason. We fear to awaken. Doesn't sound great to the ego at all. In fact, the ego wants you to lash out and attack this collection of pixels. Huh. Attack A Course in Miracles itself. Attack, attack. Preserve your ego identity at all costs, up to and especially the life of this little device. It is unflattering to think that we would rather die than give up our ego identification. But it is all too frequently true. Hmm. Ouch. All resistance is of the ego. Of itself, there is no ego. The ego is nothing. It is a false idea. There is no separation of any kind. There can't be an individual. There is no separation of any kind. The perceived separation from God never took place, ever. It's impossible. So, given that that never took place, when we look out here in the world and see 8 billion plus human beings, that separation never took place either. Your brother is you. So, what do? We train our mind little by little if that's what it takes. And honestly, for most of us, it does. Because these ideas are so different than what we've been conditioned to believe. We think we're individual human beings, yet we know deep down there's more to it than that. Of course, there is. Yet this frightens us, and well, yeah, that makes total sense, doesn't it? After all, we're conditioned to believe that we're this weird thing called an individual human being, and everybody else is a separate weird thing called an individual human being. And somehow we're getting together trying to do this great dance called life. And oh, well, it's full of division and hatred and blame and fear, even though it also has beautiful moments. So, what do we do? Great question. We train our mind. This course does not aim to effect change in the world out there. Rather, it insists as its central teaching that there is no world. We're perfectly at home in God where we've always been. So, practical question, and it's a very good question. What do we actually do when we're here, when we appear to be here? I mean, this looks and feels real to us. Our jobs feel real to us. Our bank account, whatever we may think about the numbers involved in it, appears really real to us. All of this stuff that we do in the world seems like our concrete, rock solid, hard reality. Yet we know there's more to it than that. So, what do we do in order to realize this, in order to experience this? And put it another way, what do we do to experience peace, which is what we all want? We want the peace of God. All of us. It's why we're on the spiritual path. It's why we're interested in this, drawn to this. Something has drawn you to this, whether you're a course student or not. It makes no difference. I mean, many of you have been course students for a long, long time, but some of you have not. There are plenty of people that just hop on this channel because they found it somehow. In other words, it found you. Yeah. However, YouTube's algorithm popped up to introduce to you this strange little channel about this thing called A Course in Miracles that you found yourself drawn to watch by the Holy Spirit, of course. So, what do? We train our mind. That's where we experience peace. This course is not about effecting massive change in the world out there. So it is not about bringing about more money for yourself. It's not about bringing about a new, wonderful, beautiful, loving relationship for yourself. It's not about bringing about a new romantic partner. It's not about affecting change in the geopolitical scene, which a lot of us would like to do, wherever we come from in the world. It's not about that. It's about changing your mind. So we're invited to do something that we find really difficult to do. See our brother as he is. See every other living thing as he, she is, as they are. So, what does that actually look like? Well, we're invited to look with the Holy Spirit, our inner teacher, part of our mind, past the veneer. Veneer, screen, screen. That's a highly useful analogy. We're invited to look past the surface level to truth, to what really is spirit, who and what we really are, the Son of God, the creation of God, the thought of God. We're invited to look beyond all of the surface level drama to what our brother, and by this I mean every living thing, is, to what appears to be someone else really is. See him as he is. And guess what happens that's very profound, that seems perfectly obvious here on a course related video, yet in practice, we don't want to believe it. We don't want to go there. In fact, we run far, far away most of the time. As you see your brother, you see yourself. Perfectly obvious, isn't it? As you see your brother, you see yourself. You know, love thy neighbor as thyself. Yeah, your neighbor is you. As you see your brother, you see yourself. We train our mind to see him as he is. And we train our mind to extend the miracle of true forgiveness, to extend love to him so that we may see it in ourselves. As you see him, you see yourself. How do you choose to see your brother? As something other than what he is, as a gross limitation? Do you choose to see him imprisoned in a semi-permeable membrane we call skin and trapped inside something that we couldn't possibly be trapped in, even though we want to think we could be? We cannot be a body. There's more to it than that, remember? As you've always known. So we're invited to look beyond the surface level. This course takes place entirely in the mind. It is the mind that appears to be split, torn in two, and in conflict with itself that Jesus is addressing in giving this course. He's addressing the split mind, the mind that has the ability to decide right here, right now, how you would choose to see your brother, because as you see him, you see yourself. That cannot possibly be repeated enough. As you see your brother, you see yourself. That is not merely wishful thinking or some platitude. That's the way it is. If you see your brother as vindictive, mean, and deeply limited, so you see yourself as vindictive and mean. As you judge him, you're being vindictive and mean and grossly limited. You could extend love instead. You could forgive. Look right past the surface level drama. Now, here's something that people often ask, and it's a very good question. This course is about training our mind. It's about changing our mind. So, a question that is bound to come up: what do we do here while we appear to be human beings, bodies on the level of form? Do we just sit there and take it? No. No. We do as directed by the Holy Spirit. And here, in the dream of form, we may be instructed to do things that may surprise us. Forgiveness takes place in the mind. It doesn't mean that you condone somebody else's behavior at all. You just learn to deal with it in a more loving, skillful manner, which doesn't mean, if the situation warrants it, don't protect yourself. Do protect yourself. Do what you have to do. But give it over to the Holy Spirit. Do that. You may be surprised at what you're called to say or to do. And it may feel weird. In fact, it's most likely going to feel weird, huh? And uncomfortable, but gosh, we're already uncomfortable. It's this deep discomfort of doing the same thing, thinking we're an individual and lashing out and blaming over and over again and expecting the peace of God as a result. Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and expecting a different result. So when the Course refers to us as insane, yeah, I mean, really, yes. Only the insane do the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. You can use whatever visual analogy works for you, but we are quite like a collection of lemmings sometimes, aren't we? Approaching a cliff, thinking that this cliff is better than the last cliff we jumped off of. The rocks here don't look quite as jagged, or sometimes, ooh, the rocks are arranged differently. They're shinier over here. Hey, the grass on this ledge is greener than the grass on that other ledge. Let's eat the grass on this ledge. And when we jump, maybe these rocks won't hurt as much. They look better than the last rocks. Hmm. We don't have to continue to think that way. You do not. If this all seems all well and good, but difficult to approach, it's only the ego that wants you to believe it's difficult to approach. In fact, what we're doing is we're peeling off layers that obscure our vision. It's like lifting a veil. We've thrown the veil over our face. Doing this course is peeling it off one layer at a time, or many layers at a time. I mean, you've peeled enough of this veil off that you can see the light shining through from the other side. If you didn't see it, you wouldn't be here. Remember, this course is designed to point us directly to truth. It's a direct path. Want to awaken? Want to go home, so to speak? You've never left. Want to become aware that you've never left? Extend love to your brother. See him as he is, and you see yourself. All right. Thank you, as always, for joining me. The course is very profound, and it's pretty evident to look around and see that most people on this wobbling, spinning ball of rock either don't even know what this is or they do and they don't care. But you're here, and that is what matters. This is a self-study curriculum, so I cannot underscore enough. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of your connection, your relationship with your inner teacher, the Holy Spirit. Call it Jesus, call it your guide or guides, call it Mike, Sue, Betty, George, Elvis, whatever you wish to call it. It's part of our mind that will guide you should you choose to let it. And I hope that you do. That's the invitation now and always. So I do hope that you join me. Now, here on the level of form, that's the subscription button over here. Click that link, subscribe, and join us if you have not already. Thank you to those of you who recently have. This is an international community, which is one of the beautiful things about using this modern technology, is we can reach one another anywhere in the world from wherever we appear to find ourselves. So wherever you are, thank you for tuning in. Again, please subscribe if you have not yet. And questions are more than welcome. Should you have them, please do go ahead and leave them here. This comment thread is a perfect place for that. All right. So thank you so much, as always, for tuning in, and I will see you very soon.